Hello, I'm Dr. Rodeheaver, and I'm here to represent the sober, sensible medical point of view. Now, I'm sure you all know that to do any serious foaming at the mouth, you have to have profuse salivation. Once you have profuse salivation, you can begin drooling or you can begin foaming. But I want to make it very clear that these two are not the same. I'll have more to say about this in a moment. Now, profuse salivation can be generated by a number of things, among which are certain diseases, including epilepsy, encephalitis, rabies, staphylococcal gastroenteritis, trench mouth, and mumps. In the absence of physical disease, it can be caused by deep emotion, shock, or chronic worry. It can also appear for no apparent reason, usually in middle-aged people who are rather highly strung. Now, drooling is just a simple oral discharge, and whether you find it charming in babies or repulsive in adults, you have to admit that it doesn't take much finesse. Foaming, however, requires a delicate exhalation of breath. It infuses the saliva and forms those little bubbles that give it its characteristic color and texture. Next time, if my fee is paid promptly, I'll give you some advice on how to practice. Hello, I'm Dr. Rodeheaver. If you found me informative on the show's premiere last December, you may have wondered where in the name of science I was in January. Let me assure you that I wasn't attending one of those luxurious medical conferences in Acapulco in which my colleagues so frequently indulge themselves. I was just waiting for the producer's check to clear. Now, according to the mail I've been receiving, many of you do not have the benefit of any of the diseases or neurotic conditions I mentioned last time, but are eager to foam at the mouth anyway. Some of you have also complained that there is almost no professional instruction available, and I sympathize with you. When I tell the tightwads who produce this show that we ought to make a home video on the subject, all they do is whine about the scarcity of venture capital. Well, I'm here to help. The main thing is to take proper control of the next really trying situation in your life. Let's say you've had a difficult day at work. You've been digging up the asphalt for PG&E in the pouring rain. You're tired and hungry. You've waited over an hour for the Muni. When you finally reach your apartment, you see that the cat has deposited something hairy in the hallway. You step over it and head for the living room. In the doorway, however, you stop dead, because your girlfriend and some punk are rising hastily from the sofa with their clothes in disarray. You raise your elbows to plant your fists indignantly on your hips, and as you do so, you slam your elbow against the door jamb. At this critical moment, do not yell. Do not growl like an animal. Do not throw anything. Stay in control. Concentrate your pain and rage in the throat. Feel it tighten. Feel the saliva oozing into your mouth like toothpaste being squeezed from a tube. Remember to keep your mouth closed until you've got a good amount of it in there. Then inhale through the nose and open your mouth just a little bit. Exhale gently but steadily through, not over, through the saliva until you feel little bubbles on your lips. At this point, you're home free. You can adjust the flow of breath for the effect you find most pleasing. Good luck. See you next month. Hello, I'm Miles Rodeheaver. First, a word about the mail. It's been very gratifying to hear that my medical knowledge of foaming at the mouth has helped to transform so many lives. But just about any response from you would be welcome, provided that you've taken a little bit of care to make sure that it's legible. Recently, for example, somebody wrote me a letter on an inflated balloon and then popped it, probably so that it would fit in the envelope. I can't read it in that condition, and the old world craftsmen who used to repair balloons here in San Francisco have all died or retired. Now, last time I provided some instruction on a method of foaming that exploits pain and rage, and I did so because studies have found that usually that's the easiest one for beginners. Since then, however, some of you have asked if there aren't other less hostile applications of this marvelous mode of communication. Well, there certainly are. Let's say that you're a young man who's fallen for somebody, but you haven't gotten very far with her yet. Let's say you're out for a hike on a beautiful spring day. You've reached a nice scenic spot, and you sit down on the fragrant grass for a breather. You courteously offer the young lady your canteen, and as she hands it back to you, she says, "Do you find me attractive?" Well, you can't kiss her because there's a troop of Boy Scouts coming up the hill, and you're afraid they'll give you the raspberry. You can't pull her into the bushes because there aren't any. What to do? You remember that your salivary glands go with you everywhere. You remember that you have a special skill with what they produce. And if you'll take just a moment to imagine what you're going to do with this curvaceous bundle when you do get your hands on her, you'll find your saliva flowing freely to your assistance. Then, leaning toward her, you breathe through the substance in the manner I've specified before. And I promise that on your glistening lips, the silent but ardent bursting of those lovely iridescent bubbles will convey your meaning far more eloquently than anything of which the ignorant non-foamer would be capable. Trust me, I'm a doctor.